Hi there, good Sunday. I'm Neil Gordon. You know, personal injury can include any type of injury from a traffic accident to a fall to an injury caused by a medical mishap. And some injuries may even occur due to criminal activity like DUI or assault. Well, in any case, if you've been injured, you need to know what your rights are under the law. What is negligence? Who is liable for your injuries? And is there a time limit for filing your claim? Well, if you have a question about any type of personal injury, you've come to the right place. We invite you to give us a call. Just try to use a landline if you can. Mute your television. The telephone number up on the screen, 803-442-4551. Before we get to our main topic, want to let you know what's coming up on the docket over the next several weeks. Next Sunday, you can ask us anything. And if you've been hurt on the job, July 15th, we'll take your questions. And then we'll also talk about divorce and child custody coming up on July the 22nd. But tonight our topic all about injuries, and we have a couple of experts on the program. We begin with the sponsor of the program, Vic Hawk from the Vic Hawk Law Firm. How are you, sir?
Doing great. How about you, Neil?
You've handled 3 or 4 of these in your lifetime, haven't you?
I've handled a bunch.
Like thousands, 3 or 4 thousands probably.
Handled a bunch.
Well, it's called All About Injuries, but a lot of times it really needs to be all about being smart with what you do, I guess, after you get hurt, right?
Absolutely. You know, it's very important that you understand that you do not know the law. And the adjusters that you do deal with do know the law. It would be like you're trying to play a basketball game for the first time in your life and you don't know the rules of basketball, or you trying to play a football game for the first time in your life and you don't know the rules of football, or you're trying to play a soccer game for the first time in your life and you don't know the rules. So we're going to explain to you why you should get a trial lawyer when your family suffered a serious injury. And in order to do that tonight, I've been trying to get this guy on for a year. He's kind of a shy fella, but just a really good trial lawyer and just a really good person. And he practices in Evans. It's Mac Taylor. Mac does personal injury work as well as other general areas of litigation. And tonight he's going to help us with personal injury work. Now, Matt, can you explain to our viewers, when an adjuster tells you you don't need a lawyer, why would you get a trial lawyer and hire them on a contingent fee contract when you're basically giving away a portion of your final compensation? How's that a good thing?
Well, that's an easy question. Thank you, Vic. I think the main thing that we have is that generally your recovery is overall greater whenever you have an attorney involved, simply because the adjuster knows that you're not going to try the case to a jury. They understand that the damages are going to possibly be increased when you have an attorney helping you in the case. When we operate on a contingency fee basis, and therefore if you don't have a recovery, you don't have an attorney fee that you have to pay. And like I said, the overall recovery amount generally is higher. There's also certainly certain pitfalls that you might have in that suppose the liability coverage is not sufficient to cover the damages that you've sustained. Then you have to look at filing a claim on your own policy under your underinsured motorist coverage. And if you sign a general release, you may foreclose that ability. So there's certainly pitfalls that you can get into. There's also liens that you have that you're going to be responsible for, those medical liens, or to your healthcare insurance provider. So there's a lot involved here. You only get one chance at recovery, and if you don't get it right, then you're going to suffer.
I guess we just lost our call, but to paraphrase, I think it was Nikila from South Carolina. It was really a good question because it kind of sets the tone. I mean, guys, what are the first steps she wants to know that someone should take maybe after they've been in an accident?
Well, let's just assume that you've been involved in a wreck and then you've already gotten your initial medical treatment and you don't know how you're going to get your medical bills paid. You don't know how you're going to get your lost wages back into your family. You should contact a trial lawyer, because when you go to a trial lawyer will help you to get the medical care that you need. If they have good relationships with the doctors will trust that they will get paid. Many doctors won't treat people that are involved in say, a car accident because of bad experiences that they've had in the past. But if you get a good trial lawyer, they can help you to get medical care that you would otherwise not get. But I'll tell you how it helps you more than anything else is that there are certain statutory notices that you need to give following a wreck that you don't know how to give that will increase the available insurance coverage. In one case where this guy called us from the hospital and his wife was just terribly injured and the bill was already over $105,000 and the only available liability coverage was $100,000 and he was injured as well and just staying in the room with her because she was so badly injured. He just didn't know what to do. And by giving the notices that we gave, we were able to increase the coverage to $800,000 because he stayed in his wife's room to take care of her. The insurance company denied his claim for personal injury, and we were lucky enough that the doctor stood by him because they would come in and see him when they came in to see his wife, and we ended up trying the case, and when we tried the case, we were able to get him another $157,000. But he deserved it, and she deserved everything that we got for her. But she would have been stuck, and he would have been stuck with the medical bill and $100,000 if she hadn't gone to a lawyer.
Wow, big financial swing there. Mac, before someone would call a trial attorney after getting hurt, take us to the scene. I mean, what should you do once you get in a wreck, when you're right there and in it?
The first thing to do is get medical treatment as soon as possible. That's the biggest problem that we could potentially face. If you don't go to the emergency room and get that necessary treatment ahead of time, then later on we're having to answer the question of, well, was this injury caused by the accident or was it caused by something else that intervened in between the time that you were involved in the accident and then got the medical treatment? So that's very crucial. And then the next thing to do is contact an attorney and get that help guiding you through the treatment that you might need. Attorneys that practice in this area are going to know medical issues that are involved in car accident claims. So you want to make sure that you get the necessary treatment.
And real quick, before we go to the break, Vic, what about the liability side? I mean, usually the police gets called, you got to whip out your license.
That's
What do you, because it's kind of nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I mean, what should you do?
There at the scene, what I would do is use my camera. I mean, almost everybody has a smartphone or some kind of phone that can record what occurred, and especially to avoid any liability dispute. If somebody comes up and they say they're a witness and you tell them you're okay, they'll leave and just get their name and number real quick. That would be real helpful.
Well, we're just getting started, and we'd sure love to have your input if you're a victim of a personal injury, whether it be a car accident, could be a dog bite situation, or product liability, getting hot coffee spilled on you, if you know what we mean. Give us a call, though. Again, the phone number 803-442-4551. You're watching News 12 Law Call.
Gordon, and from the Vic Hawk Law Firm, Augusta attorney Vic Hawk, known as a tough courtroom fighter, helping injured people for more than 30 years, plus guest attorneys from across the CSRA. Your rights, your calls, live. News 12 Law Call.
We'll get back to our topic all about injuries in a moment. First, our legal brief. Has someone you know lost a job for reasons that seem a bit unfair or unclear? Well, in tonight's legal brief, personal injury attorney Melissa Detchmendy explains why state law may not be of much assistance.
Georgia and South Carolina are what's called employment at will states. That means that when it comes to firing someone, there are very few rules for employers. The state doesn't have any laws on the books regarding the hiring and firing of an employee. The employer can hire anybody he wants and fire anyone he wants as long as he doesn't discriminate against the employee. Discrimination would include firing someone due to their age, sex, race, religion, national origin, color, or disability status. If you think that you've been fired from your job unfairly, it couldn't hurt to check with the State Department of Labor or a local employment law attorney. But more often than not, hiring and firing are at the discretion of the employer, and there's not much an employee can do about it. That's your legal brief for tonight. I'm personal injury attorney Melissa Detchmendy of the Vic Hawk Law Firm. Back to you.
Well, luckily we have a couple of good guys on the job tonight talking about personal injuries, and we're going to get to the telephones for the first time. Paula joins us from South Carolina. How are you, Paula?
Not doing too good.
I'm sorry to hear that. I know that you broke your ribs a few years back. Is that right?
Yes, I broke 2 ribs and I injured my shoulder and my hip, and I stay in a lot of pains. And the young lady said that she don't have no insurance, so how would I go about getting help so I can be seeing the doctor more and get medicine to take? And what would I do about this? How would I go about doing it?
Paula, do you have any health insurance?
Yeah, I have the red, white, and blue card,
Okay.
but
All
I
right.
have to pay more money when I go.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. The problem that you're dealing with is one faced by many people when they're injured in the situation like you're talking about. If there's no insurance, the homeowner had no insurance at all, then the chances of you being able to recover and collect are very low. Because if you were to file a claim and pursue it and get a significant judgment, all they would have to do is file for bankruptcy, wipe out the debt. You will get nothing. You're in a difficult circumstance, and really about the only thing that you can do is file under whatever coverage that you have, but trying to pursue that claim against the homeowner is not likely to be successful. And it's the same way in Georgia, isn't it, Matt?
That's correct, Vic. And also what you have to consider here, I noticed that you mentioned that this had been some time ago. You also have a statute of limitations period that may have run, I believe, in South Carolina, that's 3 years. Vic
That's
will have
right.
to correct me on that, but 2 years here in Georgia. So I certainly agree with what Vic's saying here. I would certainly try and get the treatment that you need. However, the chances of recovery are very low unless your own homeowner's policy might give you some coverage.
Well, we stay in South Carolina. June joins us. Hello, June.
Hi.
Trying to understand the notes here. Were you a victim of domestic violence?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's certainly an interesting, I guess, twist
Yeah.
on personal injuries, a little bit different. What happened, I guess, briefly to you?
Well, my husband decides he has to talk with his hands, and you know, a lot of men have to talk with their hands, I guess. It's not that he's a bad person, but when he did, I kind of twisted my knee, and I wasn't going to ruin my vacation, so I went on afterwards. But I'm going through the divorce and everything now, almost 9 years later. But I didn't know if, because the first thing he's trying to do is get me off his insurance. And my doctor, I waited it out, and my doctor thinks I may have tweaked, I guess, the tendons or what. I'm not a very bright person, but or I would have left a long time ago. But anyhow, he says I'm working on snapping my ACL because it won't quit popping. And if he gets me off of the insurance, I don't know how that works either. But would he still be responsible?
June,
Or would that go through the divorce procedures, the criminal domestic violence procedures, or would I have to bring that up in a total different sentence?
June, I can answer your question. You could handle it through your divorce or domestic proceedings, or you could handle it through the court system's prosecution of him for the family violence. There is a victim's assistance in South Carolina that could possibly provide you some help, but I would think the more immediate help would be you're applying to the domestic court to provide for your care arising from the divorce. Mac, would you recommend the same thing in Georgia?
I would. I think you're going to have a tough time once the divorce is finalized. Your he's not going to be able to carry you on his insurance policy any longer. So I would certainly try and get the treatment now, but certainly a difficult situation there as well.
Well, we started the program talking about car accidents, and Kadan from Evans is chiming in relation to that. Hello, Kadan. How are you?
All right, and you?
Just fine. Well, we hear your medical bills were over $20,000. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Have they been covered?
Well, yes. The between what came out of the settlement and insurance, it was covered, but the settlement was actually for less than that, and the attorney didn't want to go or take it to court, and I was wondering, was that something that, even though it's been settled, could it go back, or that's pretty much the end of it? And would that be the correct case, where a case settled for less than the medical amount, just because I had previous injuries to my back?
Matt?
Thank you, Vic. The difficulty that you have there is once you do receive a settlement and you sign a general release that is going to foreclose your ability to file suit against this particular individual, if you've signed that release, then your case is in all likelihood over, unless there's some other way that I don't know, Vic.
Yeah.
I think you're kind of at a loss on this one too, because you have one shot at recovery.
Kadan, I'll tell you very simply, when you have a claim like that and your medical bills are so high, there should be some negotiations with the medical providers to reduce those liens so that you can be fairly compensated, and that's commonly done, and I'm sorry that's happened to you.
And unfortunately, it's happened to Kadan, but a great example why it's important to get an attorney involved in it so you can make sure you're covered for your injuries and then some, of course.
A trial attorney.
A trial attorney.
That's
Got
right.
a few of them right here. Stick around, because we're going to take more of your questions in our last segment. Again, the number 803-442-4551, all about injuries. News 12 Law Call. Well, thanks so much to attorney Mac Taylor, for appearing this evening. You can reach him in Evans at 706-922-1992 or online at mactaylorlaw.com. As always, Vic Hawk is floating around one of the several offices of the CSRA, helping out local folks at 722-3500, and again online, vichawklaw.com. We want to get right back to the telephones, where Susan from South Carolina joins us with having gone through major medical issues. Susan, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, kind of hurting.
I'm sure, with 10 back surgeries and so forth. What's the very latest, and what is your question for Mac and Vic?
Okay, Vic. Oh, I had my 10th surgery 2.5 to 3 years ago. Well, the screw, they put 4 screws in. The top screw has came out halfway. It went into my coming out of my spine. Well, I called the doctor, said about, since I don't have Medicaid, didn't have Medicaid down here, I called about going to see the doctor. He goes, I got to come up with $100. And I'm going, no, it's not my fault that y'all's screws coming out of my back. But yet, they still say I can't see the doctor.
Susan, do you don't have Medicaid? Is that what you said?
I don't have Georgia Medicaid. No, I do not.
Well, you should be covered by South Carolina Medicaid, and South Carolinians are treated regularly at the Medical College of Georgia and are paid through the South Carolina Medicaid. And you should certainly apply for those benefits, or consider even Aiken Regional is an excellent hospital. You may be able to get the care there, but if you have South Carolina Medicaid, you can get the medical care you need under those coverages.
Lydia joins us from Aiken in an accident about a year ago. Lydia, was it a car accident?
Yes.
Okay. What did you do in terms of the various medical bills that you had?
Well, I was paying them, and I was rear-ended, and I called the other insurance company of the person that rear-ended me, and they sent an adjuster out to check out the damage to the vehicle, and the way they hit me, I was totally stopped at a light and got rear-ended.
Okay.
And it shifted
Guys, excuse me, can she go after the insurance company now?
You can still pursue your claim against the insurance company, and we'd certainly encourage you to do that. And I'd contact a South Carolina trial lawyer to get that help and do it right away. The longer you delay, the more difficult it is to pursue your claim. And you can definitely still do it for up to 3 years. You may have some problems with your own uninsured motorist coverage if you fail to do certain things there, but you really need to consult a South Carolina trial lawyer to get help with that, and you can and are entitled to help.
Well, Albert from Aiken is on the line. Albert, how are you?
I'm doing okay.
Well, good. What is the question that you have for our attorneys tonight?
Okay. How do you negotiate? I mean, for how do you go about
for personal injury? How do you determine a settlement?
I have about $15,000 in bills.
Yeah. That's a great question, Albert, and it depends on the individual circumstances of the case. You're entitled to fix what can be fixed, to help what can be helped, and to make up for anything that can't be fixed or helped by way of your injury. And that includes lost wages, medical bills, and for what you went through by the loss of the quality of your life, whether it's permanent or temporary. And it varies. Mac, same way in Georgia.
Absolutely right, and I would recommend that you go ahead and see someone as soon as possible. Remember that personal injury attorneys work on contingency fee basis, so if we don't get a recovery, you don't have to pay anything. So the consultation should be free, and so go ahead and talk to someone as soon as possible.
Well, if you had been trying to get through or wanted to talk about a different topic, don't worry. Next week, this show's for you. You can ask us anything. We appreciate all of your calls, and thanks so much to Vic and Mac. Appreciate you coming on, even though it took him a year. You did great. Thank you
very much.
Have a
Thank
good
y'all for calling.